welcome you to the 24th Annual Economic Celebration. The theme for this afternoon is the power of economic partnerships, and we're going to hear a lot of absolutely fabulous partnership opportunities, and well, we'll leave that for the speakers. We do want to have a special welcome to Brian Bresnahan from Annie Custer's office. Brian, thank you for being here. Also from, and these three you're going to be hearing from, we've got Representative Brad Bailey with us this afternoon. We also have Taylor Caswell with us from the CDFA. Thank you, Taylor. And also Beanie Lamonta from DRED. Thank you, Beano. And then we also want to recognize Jim Kish, who is the new President CEO incoming for Passumpsic Savings Bank. Jim, thank you for being here as well. And I'd like for you all to, now that you've sat down, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing, please, for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jim Sullivan?
Hello, everybody. So nice to be here with you today. And if you could remain standing as we pray. The Bible says those that honor God, he will honor. So as we stand, we'll be giving him honor, just like if a king was coming out here to speak or was here with us. And so if you would, you're welcome to pray along with me. Father, we want to thank you for this wonderful community we live in. We thank you for all your blessings. We thank you for all the people that are here today, the people that are trying to make this community better. And Lord, we're just asking today, God, that you would help us. Lord, I pray that you will give these people here today involved with all these projects, God, you would give them wisdom, you will give them knowledge and understanding, give them ways to make our community better. And I pray that you will bless them and help them to prosper. I pray that every business in this community would begin to prosper. I pray this would be a new day, that you will bless our lovely and beautiful community of Littleton, Bethlehem, all the surrounding areas that are involved here. And Lord, I just pray that you will also bless those people that protect us and keep us safe, the police officers, our firemen, all the volunteers, the emergency workers that we have. And Lord, I'm just praying today, God, that you will just give us a real blessing and an understanding of how we can do a better job. And we give you all the honor and all the praise. And it's in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Good afternoon. My name is Beanie Lamonta, and I'm with the Department of Resources and Economic Development. Glad to be here this afternoon. I wanted to say a few quick words about some of the good things that we're working on for Littleton. Less than a year ago, we started a program at the Littleton High School with Al Smith and Matt Wood from the White Mountains Community College. And we've come up with this wonderful machining program to teach our young students as well as adults about machining. And I know that my friend Mike Courier is here from Rodebeck. Rodebeck was one of the companies that stepped up to the plate and helped us out. As a matter of fact, they provided a match for all of the machining equipment that is now being used for this course. So very much appreciative to Rhodabeck, and of course, as you might all know, they're expanding and have added quite a lot of employees. So we're really thrilled about that. And the other, I wanted to mention that the Canadian market is really heating up. I know I saw Andy Smith here earlier. We've toured recently with some folks, and I'm glad to know that Andy doesn't know this yet because I just found out, but one of those Canadian clients wants to come back to look again and to hopefully work out a deal and bring some more jobs to Littleton. So I'm really thrilled about that, and obviously much appreciate this community's togetherness as to how they work. Everybody pitches in and everybody's so positive, and it's an honor to work for you here in Littleton. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brad Bailey, and for something completely different, it's just a joke. Back in the spring, if you remember, you might have recalled that there was a bill that local representatives put forward to name the Welcome Center out on Exit 44 after Ray Burton. It was passed, and then we had a very brief signing ceremony with the governor and some dignitaries out there, but we wanted to have something a little bit more elaborate, which we could welcome everybody and give everybody a heads up on it. So what is going to take place is we are going to have the unveiling of a plaque, as well as a beautiful copy of a portrait of Ray Burton out there as well. And that is going to be, the unveiling is going to be on, let's see, the date is December 15th, which is a Thursday at 10 a.m. Everybody is welcome, and we'd like to see you out there. Of course, the Welcome Center wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Ray. And of course, the Welcome Center is also the only Welcome Center on the whole interstate system that has a room dedicated to a Chamber of Commerce, which is the Littleton Area Chamber of Commerce. So here's what the plaque reads, and the plaque is written as if somebody's walking in as a vacationer who has no idea who Ray was or what he meant to the area. So it says, North Country native Raymond S. Burton was born in 1939, south of here in Bath, New Hampshire. Ray, as he was known to all, was the longest-serving executive counselor in the state's history, representing 97 communities from the Canadian border to the Lakes region over a 34-year span. Ray understood the unique characteristics of the North Country and her people. As a major proponent of tourism, Ray was instrumental in building this Welcome Center, which beckons both tourists and residents. Ray passed away in 2013, but his memory and good works will be remembered for decades. Thank you, and I hope you'll be able to join us in December.
Hi, I'm Brian Ward, and the Economic Development Celebration started in 1993, and we've had one continuously since then, every year just before Thanksgiving. And one of the things we always try to do is look where we were, where we are, and where we're going. And one of the things we recognize early is our work is never done. So we have economic challenges that we're facing, and while we're celebrating all the positive things, they've asked me to talk about some of the challenges. I'll be 65 in April, and I'm settling into old fartdom, so they figured I'd be the right guy for the job. This past Saturday, many of us in Littleton got our tax bills, and there was a story in the Record. Our tax rate skyrocketed $2.59, which extrapolates to a $1.9 million tax increase for the taxpayers of Littleton. That tax increase was unanticipated, and it's unacceptable. Milt Bratz described it as a perfect storm, Bruce Hadlock as a hurricane, and the Littleton taxpayers described it as a catastrophe. The town has stepped up and approached the Department of Revenue Administration and has been given the go-ahead to to develop an amended tax rate, and they and the school board will be working together to hopefully identify revenue sources which can reduce the spike significantly. The second thing that was a challenge for us was that this was the year of the Hitchner closing. A year ago, March, literally 5 days before our annual town meeting, Hitchner announced that they were going to be closing, and closing they did. And when a business of that size leaves your community, it leaves a hole. Hitchner at one time had 2 plants, one on Beacon Street, one on Reddington Street. It is the largest employer we've ever had, at one time 850 jobs. It also was the largest customer of the Littleton Water and Light Department. And it also, in the 106 years of that complex, it stayed in that location. There's been 7 employers that have been in that location, and they stayed the longest. So it's been bittersweet that the community came together to make sure the employees knew that they were not alone. Many of them transitioned into as good a jobs, if not better, and the transition was as smooth as could be. However, Hitchner is a sign of the globalization, or the effect of globalization in the North Country. 14 different plants have closed, 8 in our area and 4 in Littleton specifically. We are suffering from a certain amount of economic doldrums, but we've been that place before and we've dealt with it. In 1995, Littleton had a tax base of $241 million. By 2009, that had increased $53 million to $794 in 2009. That tax base, unfortunately, has fortunately, we were able to use the confidence in the tax base to have investments occur in our community of over $130 million, $56 million in Littleton Regional Healthcare, $20 million in our schools, and $45 million in different infrastructure. However, since 2009, our tax base is down $63 million. From 2000 to 2006, we averaged 29 new housing starts in that 7-year period per year. We've done 33 in the last 7 years. What we desperately need, the United States does, New Hampshire does, North Country, and Littleton does, is we need an economic growth agenda and an era. We need to work together to focus on growing our economy and not growing other aspects of our society. As James Carville said in 1992, it's the economy, stupid. It is still the economy. We need, regardless of political persuasion, to focus on an economic growth. We've done it before, and we can do it again. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that fresh breath of air, Brian. Which is actually kind of nice. Last year I had to leave a little early. I couldn't do some of the closing remarks. Many of you probably know I have 2 little ones at home, and I had to go, I wanted to go spend some time with them before they went to bed. So this year, last year I should say, he wound up saying, complaints go to me and congratulations go to him, since we're co-chairs. This year it's the other way around. He's the bad cop with all the bad news, and I'm the good cop with all the good news. We've got a great night ahead of us. The theme this year is the power of economic partnerships. And when you look at everything and go down this list in your program in front of you, it really is. It shows you how powerful partnerships are, in the day that we live in, but also, especially in this community. When I look at here at the program headings, the River District, I can't count on my fingers and toes how many partnerships there are, public, private, otherwise. Community infrastructure, the public-private partnerships that we have are just, so great and really makes Littleton head and shoulders above everybody else. And of course, our business investments are always fun to recap what happened, what is happening, and what's going to happen. Just a few notes. As usual, we try to, really move things along. We have over 20 great speakers with some fantastic news. We just ask that everybody remembers, to be courteous of other people's time. And with so many speakers, we don't want to be here till 9 o'clock tonight. And just remember, we'll be lining people up back, coming through this as we have already tonight. And just, there will be no introduction of speakers, as you can imagine. That'd probably double or triple the time that we're here. So thank you so much for coming tonight, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the program.
Thank you, Chad. Good afternoon. I'm delighted to be asked again this year to speak on some subject. This year, I'm pleased that I'm representing John Hennessy and the River District Commission on the wonderful things going on in that part of town. It's been an absolutely great year for new activity along the River District. We have so many people interested in it. From the beginning, our focus as a commission was on tax-based growth, finding new job opportunities for the people of Littleton and the surrounding communities, improving the safety, the walkability of that part of town, improving the transportation and utilities and the infrastructure that was a part of that. We've always had a focus on improving wellness for the people that visit our town and for the citizens of Littleton. And of course, ultimately, we want people to come visit us because we know when they come visit us, they love us, they spend money, and they come back, and sometimes they move here, as I did. So I want to take you through our goals a little bit and just tell you what's happened in the year 2016. The first major goal was, of course, fixing the critical infrastructure issues with our sewer, water, and power lines on the north side of the river. We also wanted to provide for much safer travel for pedestrians. There's parts of the River District that really don't have walks or don't have adequate walkways. We'd like for bikes to be a more usable thing in the River District area. And of course, we want to make it safer for the vehicles coming in and out of Meadow Street and traveling through the River District. So this year we were very, very fortunate that we got one of the real breakthrough funding mechanisms to give us $2 million to help us redevelop Saranac, Amanuenseck, and the Mill Street corridor. We are in the process of hiring a construction engineering firm that should be chosen in the next few weeks, and then they'll do the final construction drawings, and we'll begin that process next summer. So you should see a major redo of the whole area on the north side of the river where Saranac, Amanuenseck, and Mill Street come together. We have recently applied for an $800,000 grant because one other very key piece to this whole thing for our town is the improvement of our town as a walkable town. And so we've got an $800,000 request in for improvements to our downtown and surrounding area sidewalks. One of the second objectives was to expand our Riverwalk to encompass a much larger piece of the community, make it much more of a wellness-focused, great place to get out and walk and experience all that's beautiful about our river and to get some exercise in. So I'm delighted to say that we're now at a point where we have a strategy and have the implementation going to have a 2-mile-long, beautiful walking trail along the river. The new pedestrian and bike bridge was completed today, actually, with the lighting that was put on it, and we'll be doing a ribbon cutting on that very shortly. But it's there for you as members of our community to begin to use. We'll complete that Bridge Street interface and elongate the walking area all the way down to that part of the River District. We've secured some great funds to help us do that through the Community Development Financing Authority, and you'll hear from Taylor Caswell, who's been a great supporter of his hometown, Littleton, and we're so delighted for what they've been able to help us do. We're pleased with the businesses that have bought the tax credits that allowed us to get access to those funds, the local businesses. And also I want to mention that Northern Borders has been a major, major contributor to what we're trying to do with that bridge and with the new Riverwalk. We've secured a $110,000 grant to develop further the river trail between the metal bridge and the new bridge. And you'll see those improvements here shortly. We're in discussion with property owners for the Riverwalk on the north side of the river about easements to maybe begin to put that Riverwalk all the way along the side of the river on the north side. So there's major activity going on there. The third objective was providing for new opportunities for residential and commercial development, resulting in more tax revenues, which we know we need in this town, a bigger tax base, and we have some very exciting things beginning to happen there. Two of them that we can announce today that will increase tax revenues, but also Littleton Water and Light revenues, and also the funds that we get back from meals and room taxes. So all three of those things will be impacted in new revenues coming back to our town. Schilling, a great part of our community, brings the millennials in, brings the old guys in like me, is doing a wonderful job of building a really high-quality operation there, and we're so delighted that they've announced their intention, and they'll tell you more about it here in a few minutes, but they've announced their intention to do an up to $4 million expansion of their facility down there along the Mill Street area. We're delighted that the Amanuense property that used to be tile, etc., part of it has been acquired and another part of it is in acquisition mode, but we're going to have major new investors in to redo all of that community, so we've got some exciting new development things to be announcing in the future about that property. And a really important thing for so many of us that always thought of the exit from the industrial park out onto Meadow Street is kind of like Hollywood and Vine, and I'm delighted that we now have something going on where the Brooks Drugs facility was, and it looks like that's going to be a great thing with a new Harbor Freight installation that's going in there, so we're delighted with that. The fourth major objective was to figure out how to get more jobs for the people that live here and the people that come into our community to find work. And so we're delighted, for example, that we have a lot of new things happening in the industrial park and certainly along the river district. And the Schilling operation alone will create 10 to 15 new jobs. And their owner, their president, will tell you a little bit more about that in a minute here. The new growth opportunities. We see more visitors. Our streets were full this summer. It was a really exciting summer. The streets were beautiful. The beautification on Main Street was just terrific. And so we had a lot of visitors. We're getting a lot of very positive press around the U.S. and in particular in New England about what a special place we live in. We have several new opportunities that we're focusing on to get more of a focus on wellness and better quality of life in our area. There are projects in the planning phase to do an outdoor fitness park along the river. We're very active in trying to get the rails to trails agreement done so that where we have the rails, we can pull up those rails and make it a hiking and biking and walking trail for everyone. We talked already about the Riverwalk extension we're doing. There's a project afoot right now to put a new skating rink, possibly down along the river. That looks very promising. We're looking for parking expansion to help the senior center. They have a lot of overflow parking. So many people are using their great facility, and we're working on how do we expand their parking for that area and also provide some more parking, of course, for all this development that's going on the north side of the river. We're going to need more parking spaces for their new customers. So we're working hard on that. The last one of these is talking about an investment opportunity, and I first want to say to every person here that's a voter in the town of Littleton how much we appreciate the confidence you've had in this project to agree to up to a $900,000 bond issue to help support the local investment in what is going to be a $7.5 million project when we're all completed. We're at about 4.6 right now, and we've got a big $2 million grant request that's going out next year to the Department of Transportation. And then we've got this sidewalk grant that we've already made application for and we're hoping to get. But that will complete all of the things that we wanted to do as a part of the revitalization of the River District area. Schillings will tell you a little bit about their thing, but now they have an opportunity for a $200,000 grant to fix up the infrastructure in front of this wonderful thing that they're going to be constructing here on our behalf and on the community's behalf. And they are going to match it with their own private investment up to that amount also. So there's no town match involved in that, but it's an example of when you bring in good development opportunities, other revenues begin to flow that help you redo your town and its streets. So wonderful things happening. I should comment next on the great partnership. One of the themes of this is we all know up here that we're just a little town trying to do big things. And the way you do big things is you ask others to believe in you like you believe in yourself. And so we're so delighted with the incredible support that we've gotten from all of the different entities that we've gone to. So of course, it started out with such a great role model in the success that we're having with our industrial park. The U.S. Economic Development Administration has been very supportive and given us some major grants. NCIC has been a huge resource for us to consult us on how to get all this done, and John Freeman and his team have been absolutely terrific. We're pleased. I'm a part of the Chamber of Commerce, so I'm proud of the role that the Chamber plays in economic development and in support of the River District project. We're, of course, happy with the support we're getting from the town. AHEAD has been a wonderful asset for us, a lot of experience, a lot of good advice, and a lot of help, and they've provided a lot of volunteer help to help us in many of our projects. CDFA that Taylor Caswell runs is a spectacular organization, and its role in life is to take some of the tax dollars that are spent by businesses that are making profits or business employment taxes, and to deploy those back in to help the communities revitalize themselves. And we've been a huge recipient of many dollars that have been given to us by the Community Development Finance Authority. Grafton County Economic Development, Northern Borders, the New Hampshire Department of Transportation has been really helpful for us. The Water and Light organization has been unbelievable to work with while we're trying to do all of this. They've been helping in every way they possibly can. And of course, the North Country Council is, they're the best in the world at helping write grant requests, and we're good at evidence of how good they are. So it's been a great year. We have a lot of exciting things that are going to begin to show up because of how great a year it was for the River District area. And you'll see next year and the years after, it's going to be a special, special place. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm Christine Frost. I'm the program director at Northern Border Regional Commission. A lot of people don't know what that is at this time. We're sort of young. It was actually just established by Congress in 2008. So a very new agency. We're modeled after a number of different other federal commissions around the United States. This particular one was really based on the forest economy that New York, New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont all have in common. So our region that we serve goes from Seneca County in New York all the way through to most of Maine, other than about 3 of the most southern counties. We were set up specifically to provide economic development funding for various projects and to figure out how to sort of stimulate things in these rural areas. So we're very happy to be part of the River District project, and a little bit about where we've been on our funding curve. The organization started out essentially not getting any appropriations from Congress until 2010 when they received their first appropriation, and there were only a couple of projects, 1 or 2 in every state, and it continues to grow. By law, we can be appropriated up to $30 million a year. To this date, our last amount that we had received from Congress this past award round was 7.5. So we're really excited to be able to participate in these types of projects. In 2014, We did award the town of Littleton funds for the River District project, $250,000, and that project has really moved forward, which you just heard a lot of exciting things happen. And because of the success of that, they came back in 2016, and there was an additional $110,000 awarded. 2017. 16, yes, now 17, and another 110,000. So, and it's kind of interesting that in 2014, when that original award was given, there were only 5 awards within the state of New Hampshire. So it's becoming more and more competitive. Over the years, since its inception, we've awarded approximately $21 million in funds within the entire region. And that has leveraged an additional $74 million in other funds, or has enabled those projects to move forward. So we are currently managing about 80 projects across the whole region. It's getting a little much, so we just hired an additional person to help out in the office, which is really great. Some of you may be familiar with Mark Scarano. He is appointed by President Obama as the federal co-chair. And then we partner with all the state agencies. So within New Hampshire, we primarily work with Commissioner Jeff Rose and Chris Way in the Department of Resources and Economic Development. We do have a round coming up again. I'm hoping it will be advertised starting March 1st. Currently, as you know, the political whims, who knows what's going on down there in D.C., but we're under a continuing resolution, and we hope we continue to get funding that will have additional funds going forward for next year. So we'll have an additional round coming up in March 1st of 2017. I think I will pass this along to the next person and wish you all well with your projects in Littleton. I always seem to end up back here. I originally grew up in St. Johnsbury, and I just keep, no matter how my world turns around, I end up back at Littleton in the North Country, and I love it here, and good luck with all your projects.
Next from behind the curtain. I'm Taylor Caswell. I'm the Executive Director of the Community Development Finance Authority, or as we like to just say, CDFA, because that makes us sound more bureaucratic than we actually are. But I'm happy to be here again. This is the 3rd year in a row that I've come to talk at this event. There's a good reason for that, and that's because the projects just keep coming from Littleton through CDFA and some of our partner agencies. And in fact, since 2011, we've put around $2 million worth of investments into Littleton through various different programs. And I know I know we're kind of talking about the River District here, but I wanted to just point something out. If we could go to the next, is there a next slide? No? Oh. Kick it. Well, anyway, the next slide has a couple of those investments. And I wanted to just point out a couple of them and say that when you look at them, there is sort of a common denominator that I think is worth pointing out. So we put some tax credits into the River District. We've done some infrastructure grants for the Saranac Street Water and Sewer Project. We've done money for the Littleton Senior Center. We've done tax credits for the Boys and Girls Club of the North Country. We put in some Clean Energy Fund money into the tannery offices. There we go. And as Bino pointed out, the CNC machine up at the high school. And then more recently, we've been beginning to participate with the White Mountain Community College here in town. And the reason I point that out, and the reason why I really like this list, is because, you know, in a lot of communities, when they talk about economic development, when they talk about what they want to accomplish, it's really just for like one thing. You know, we want to just do the River District, or we want to just work on this business corridor or the industrial park. But what this list says is that Littleton's not interested in just funding projects. They're investing in their community. I mean, look at who's who's included in this list. It's seniors, it's kids, it's people going to get workforce training, it's for helping build bigger businesses, helping the small businesses. It's a really comprehensive list, and I think that it's something worth pointing out and worth really congratulating Littleton for being holistic in their vision for the economic development of this community and not to leave anyone behind, because that's not what we want to do. So congratulations again. We'll keep the projects coming. I suspect we'll see some more in the next 2 years. I want to get at least one more so I can come back next year. So thank you very much and congratulations.
Good afternoon, Justice. My name is Jeff Cousins, and I'm the CEO of Schilling Beer Company. We're a progressive European-inspired microbrewery down at 18 Mill Street, right in the River District, that you all have and will continue to hear so much about. We are expanding. We are expanding our brewery operations right next door to us on the 22 and 26 Mill Street parcel, which is immediately to the east of our current brew pub. And so many times I'm asked in my industry, why Littleton? Why aren't you looking at over in Vermont? Why aren't you looking down on the seacoast or in Massachusetts? Well, A, our families love it here. We are a family-owned business, and we've chosen to make our home here. But B, there's some very specific qualities about Littleton that are compelling to my business partners and I. And I wanted to share a little bit about our decision-making. First, the community support that Littleton offers, both from the town of Littleton itself to the people, other business owners, to patrons at our brewery, is absolutely unparalleled. Part of that is the can-do attitude of the town that I know we often talk about, and we have the Pollyanna Festival and everything else, but we feel that tangibly as business owners along the River District, just in back of Main Street. And it's something that even folks and some of our extended family and guests from out of town who we see regularly feel very, very poignantly. And finally, there's this really emerging, palpable sense that the town is going to capitalize and will continue to find ways to capitalize on two of its very best assets, and that is the natural beauty of the area, of the River District, as well as that can-do attitude that we see all the time. When you put those things together, there's really nothing that a business owner can't do. And I just wanted to thank the town on behalf of my business partners, and I wanted to thank all of you for inviting us to participate today. You're the reason for our success. What are we doing? We are going to invest, we're going to make a multi-million-dollar investment into a five-fold increase in our brewery operations, and that, as I mentioned, will go right next door. That will only be an investment in diversifying our beer portfolio, as well as driving depth and quality. It is not just about quantity for us. So while we may ultimately brew 5,000 to 6,000 barrels, in contrast to the 850 or so that we make now, you'll see a dynamic wood-age portfolio, mixed fermentation styles, as well as many of the standard Schilling offerings that many of you enjoy today. So we're very excited about that. This is also an investment, as we see it, into the town of Littleton, as this will be a retail-centric business model. We will not be a distribution-heavy brewery. We will be a brewery that sells as much as it possibly can out of our front door. And we feel this is obviously not only advantageous for us as a business, but that will continue to bring in business into the downtown Main Street area and into the River District. Now, this expansion is not something that will replace our current business. This expansion is about simply upgrading our brewing facilities, moving a very modern process out of an 18th century building, putting it on one level instead of three, as we currently operate in now, and giving the brewers an ideal space in which to maximize their talents. So we're very excited about that. You will continue to be able to have all of our traditional core Schilling offerings over at the existing brew pub. Food will continue to be served there as it is now. We are expanding that capability as well by investing in an oven that will allow us to produce about 3 times as many pizzas. So that will be great in terms of wait times. But it will also add a new dynamic portfolio of beers, including many one-offs and many experimental beers that you only see little flickers of right now at our current operation. So this depth and diversity, depth and quality will be palpably felt next door. In terms of the job data, as Dave mentioned, I believe, we're looking at 10 to 15 new jobs added over the next 18 to 24 months. And our timeline, we intend to break ground next spring, 2017, as soon as the weather permits, and we will finish up likely sometime in 2018. Thank you very much for your time.
The program's theme, as many of you know already, if you've read your program, is economic partnerships. I'm going to discuss one that's in the embryonic stage of an economic partnership, and one we hope will have great potential, and it'll also this afternoon, be the first time that it's been discussed. In June of this year, we had a groundbreaking ceremony for the new walking bridge that was funded through the efforts of CDFA, Greg Eastman raising tax credits, and the Northern Borders grant that we received. After that meeting, many of us went back to the Selectman's office and had a meeting to discuss about economic initiatives. And what came out of that meeting was Executive Counselor Joe Kenny, CDFA Director Taylor Caswell, who's already spoken here, DRED Commissioner Jeff Rose, and Beanie Lamonta, all requested that the Littleton Economic Development Team consider developing or working to develop a plan to incorporate Southern COOS into our economic initiatives. What we're going to talk about today is a step in that direction. And when I say it's embryonic, this is being led by NCIC, who has excellent working relationship for the folks in COOS County and those of us in the Littleton area. We are calling it the Southern COOS Littleton Area Partnership because we want to partner with those communities. Littleton is known under employment security as our area is called the Littleton Employment Area, and all of the, I believe, 14 communities are included in that plan. Now, this is a building block, we hope, on things that we've done in the past. In 1973, a group of citizens got together, created the LIDC, and they built the industrial park, which is a world-class industrial park, and Greg Eastman will be talking about future plans. In 1992, we created the Economic Development Task Force with a goal to build off the success of the industrial park, but to build a diversified, sustainable economy. And you saw what happened from the collective effort of the 74 people that were part of the task force. Our tax base grew by $553 million. Around 2000, we realized, we're kind of slow learners at time, that while you're focusing on economic development, you also need to focus on community development and educational development. You cannot move your community forward without concentrating on all of those. The Littleton Area Learning Center was one of the successes of that effort, and also the $20 million we spoke about that had been invested in our school facilities. Here in 2016, we've come to realize that for us to really move ahead, Littleton's kind of hit a ceiling, that we're not going to move too far ahead if the region doesn't move with us. We're located right on the border of COOS County. The people who shop here and spend their money here and use all the services here, many of them come from southern COOS County. So we did some studying with help from Employment Security, and we learned that Littleton, as of 2014, has around 4,500 jobs. We have 1,550 more jobs than we have people to fill them. So we're an employment center. That's not necessarily new. We also learned that we're the 5th largest employment center for COOS County. And by 2020, we're probably going to be the 2nd largest one. Currently, as of the data of 2014, 795 employees, Coast County residents, work in Littleton. 25% of Littleton Regional Healthcare's employees come from Coast County. 20% of the Coin Company, which is our second largest employees, come from Coast County. So we already have a working relationship with the folks in Coast County. We're hoping to be able to come together to move that forward. Now, what do we have for assets? It didn't take long to figure out that if we look at our area, we've got a lot of assets. One of Littleton's strengths is always to figure out what we don't have. We don't have a ski area, never going to have one. We don't have a Grand Hotel, no one's going to be built soon. Theirs is great, but it's not quite the Grand Hotel. We don't have a golf course. We don't have an attraction. So we don't have a lot of things. But guess what Southern Coast and the rest of the Littleton area have? We have two Grand Hotels, Mount Washington Hotel and Mountain View Grand. We have a nationally recognized Main Street right here in Littleton. We have the two premier ski areas in our area, Cannon Mountain, which is now merging with the Middlesbrough area and with an exciting economic growth there, and the largest ski area in the area, Bretton Woods. We have a regional airport. North Conway in that area is partnering with the community of Freiburg, Maine, states of Maine and New Hampshire, to expand to have a regional airport that we already have. We have 6 golf courses. We have the greatest density of golf courses within half an hour of Littleton of any area in the community. We have $4 billion in bank assets available for investment for credible projects. We have the most visited state park. Money Magazine a few years ago did a study on the 10 best state parks. Cannon Mountain was one of the, Franklin Notch was one of them, but it was also the most visited state park. And again, we have a World Industrial Park. In addition, Santa Claus spends his summers here in our area, which is important. So, to move ahead, what do we need to do? Spoke earlier about the need for an economic development era of economic growth, but we also need collectively to have a change of attitude. We need to feel better about where we live. We need to take ownership of all of the assets that we have, which are plentiful, and we need to come together to move it ahead. In the Union Leader on Sunday, I don't know if you saw it, it was a story, pretty depressing, about our children from our area don't believe in the future here. We need to turn that around. We need to be able to convince not only ourselves, but our children that we have a rich future. We've had many investments that have occurred. Both the Mountain View Grand and the Mount Washington Hotel had they were about as close to being leveled as you can get, and look where they are today. So we have done many things, but what we need to do is to change our attitude, focus on growth, and work together through the Southern COOS Littleton area partnership. There's going to be plenty of room for plenty of people to do things. John Freeman is a visionary, and he's hopefully going to pull us all together so that our whole region can rise, because Littleton cannot, we have 4,500 of 14,000 jobs in our area. We're never going to employ everybody. We're never going to have everybody live in our town. But collectively, in our 14 communities, we can become an economic development dynamo, and we can have really something to promote that is very special. Because if you look at the inventory we've got, I don't think there's another area in the state that has it, not to mention I-93. Thank you very much.
So good evening. My name is Matt Wood. I'm here to talk about, Matt's not here, so my name, for those who know me, is Warren West. Obviously, prior years here, I used to represent Littleton Regional Healthcare. Obviously, I still do, but there's been a change in partnerships that we need to talk about with regard to healthcare in our region. So I am here tonight to talk about North Country Healthcare, the new partnership of the 4 hospitals in the North Country: Littleton Regional Healthcare, Weeks Medical Center, AVH, and Upper Connecticut. We think this partnership is going to be great for our community and great for the region, and I want to sort of share with you why we formed and what we want to do with our new organization. So who are we? We are a partnership of four hospitals in the North Country, 4 critical access hospitals. We believe we're the first in the nation to bring 4 critical access hospitals together without a tertiary care facility, but to stand alone. We became official April 1st, 2016. We're going to be a system of 1,300 employees. We're going to have gross revenues of about $350 million, payroll within the North Country of about $87 million. And if you use the economic impact factor there, that really gets an economic impact in the region of $165 million. What does that mean? That means we're going to end up being the largest employer in the North Country, possibly the largest economic engine we have in the North Country. And out of the 26 hospitals in the state, we're going to be the 6th largest facility in the state. I think this is going to be a great thing for our North Country and our focus on population health. Why did we do what we did in the region? We did it primarily to ensure that all 4 hospitals in the region remain financially viable. We all had unsustainable cost structures, and we needed to have size and scale in order to survive. Healthcare reform has made us focus on value and not volume, which changes the entire reimbursement model in the future. We need to be able to focus on the health of the population in the North Country and not just individuals, and you can't do that as individual facilities. We could no longer continue to survive as independent hospitals, and now we have the size and the scale we need to be more successful than we ever have been in the past. What will we do as a new system? So what is our purpose? Our purpose is to create a truly regional healthcare system with greater coordination of care, implementation of best practices, the elimination of efficiencies, collaborative regional planning, and enhanced regional access and improved quality. And finally, we want to reduce costs. So what are we really saying? Instead of having 4 hospitals in the North Country competing, we're going to have 4 hospitals in the North Country in one system collaborating to make sure we keep the population healthy. What is our vision? And our vision really ties to the concept of partnering. But our vision, and this is the first time this has been rolled out to the public, our vision is a sustainable, efficient healthcare system to continuously improve the health of our communities served by coordinating, integrating, and partnering with all healthcare organizations in the North Country. So we can't do this ourselves. We can't focus on the population of the region all by ourselves, and we need to partner with all other healthcare providers in the region. This concept of healthcare, population health, our big goal is to finally get our citizens of Cohos County out of the basement of the least healthiest population in the state. In 5 to 10 years, we want them up the ranks a good bit, and we all need to work together to get that done. And that will improve the health of all of us if we do it right. So what does this mean? We're going to develop a centralized, clinically and operationally integrated healthcare system in the North Country, something we haven't had ever. One system, many delivery sites. One organization, one team. One set of standards for our patient experience, and one set of standards for our workforce experience. You might ask, what have we done so far since April? We have all new hospital presidents in position whose jobs are twofold: to make sure they have financial viability within their own institutions, but also help us form this system. Through economies of scale, since April, we've already saved the system over $2 million, reducing duplication, combining purchasing operations, combining insurances, all the simple things that we should do, and now that we're together we can do, and combining services and activities. This, however, is just the tip of the iceberg, what we've been able to accomplish for 8 months.
Our goal is to get our cost structure down and be financially sustainable. But what does that mean to you? What does that mean to the citizens of the region? If we can get our cost structure down, all of your premiums for health insurance should drop as well. That means we can all pay less for the health care we receive today. And we can only do that by getting our cost structure down and forming this system. So that's what North Country Healthcare is all about. I want you to remember the name. We are here to serve everybody in the region with high-quality, cost-effective health care. We are going to be partnering with other healthcare organizations in the North Country to improve the health of our population. And most importantly, we're here to partner with all of you to make sure you stay healthy and your families. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Oh, I can't see you from behind here. My name is Jessica Bunker, and I am the Interim Executive Director for the Littleton Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm excited to be here with you this evening. As you may have heard, we have embarked on a number of pilot programs this year as part of our mission to promote the economic development in the Littleton area. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the First Impressions program. George is going to help me with my slides. Hopefully, a little right arrow. There we go. So the First Impressions program is a pilot program overseen by the UNH Cooperative Extension. And as the old adage says, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So we really want to make sure that the look and feel of downtown creates a positive impression for potential residents, for visitors, and for businesses. We want their first experience of Littleton to be not only positive, but memorable, because it so greatly influences their decision-making on whether they stay in town for the day, remember the Littleton area, and recommend it as a favorite destination. So New Hampshire First Impressions is designed to help a community learn about their downtown's existing assets, as well as opportunities for improvement, as seen through the eyes of first-time visitors. This is a great system. So the Rochester Community Leadership Team enlisted the help of 8 volunteers from a diverse set of ages and backgrounds to come to Littleton kind of secret shopper style this summer. And next slide, please, George. And these are the 14 elements that they were asked to document during their first experience of Littleton. And you can see it's quite a diverse list, all the way from business to how's the seating? Next slide. So I encourage everyone here to read the full report on Rochester's visit, but I'm going to share just some of their key findings. Visitors described the Main Street as charming, welcoming, walkable, bright, inviting, and warm. Sorry, that was loud. The diversity of shopping opportunities along Main Street kept the visitors busy. They noted the wide variety of unique shops, antiques, and more. The art installations were well appreciated by the visiting team, from the hanging umbrellas to the pianos to Harmony Park. The team felt the artsy and folksy vibrancy of the community was palpable. Next slide. So what the First Impression program has really given us is a fantastic bit of third-party feedback that demonstrates the effectiveness and importance of our Main Street beautification projects as well as others. So maintaining these programs while finding and defining some of the other gems that we have here in town is the focus, next slide, George, and last one, of an exciting partnership that the Chamber has also initiated this year between the Chamber itself, Littleton Main Street, Inc., Pollyanna of Littleton, and the Littleton River District. And we'll be progressing with that throughout the year. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lisa LeBlanc. I'm principal of North Country Charter Academy, and I am so delighted to be here this afternoon. North Country Charter Academy is a public school authorized by New Hampshire Department of Education and established in 2004 by all of the superintendents in the North Country for the purpose of decreasing the dropout rate, increasing dropout recovery, and to provide another alternative path to obtaining a high school diploma. We serve students who are at risk of dropping out, but let's face it, all children in this world today are at risk. We are not a school that enrolls bad students. Every student is a smart student. Every student can succeed. And we pride ourselves in the fact that we recognize that every day, and we can address each student's individualized needs. Our student-to-teacher ratio is a maximum of 17 students to 2 teachers. We have 2 sites, one here located up on the hill at Mount Eustis Commons, known as the old Littleton Hospital, same place I was born, and the other in Lancaster. We are the oldest of 27 charter schools in the state of New Hampshire, and we are considered one of the most successful ones. We serve students in grades 7 through 12, and on average, we serve 110 students a year. We serve students in 45 communities covering 4,000 geographical square miles. Being that New Hampshire has a total of 9,300 square miles within its border, we serve almost half the state. We are currently in our 13th year, and despite our efforts to educate our communities on who we are, we continue to be a hidden gem. This is why I'm so excited to be involved today to build upon our efforts to share with you the success that is happening here right in our town. As of this date, we have graduated a total of 432 students, of which 60 of them were from Littleton. Of the 432 graduates, 91 of them were high school dropouts. According to the New Hampshire Department of Education, we had 97 dropouts in northern New Hampshire in school year 2002-2003, the year prior to our opening. In 2012, 25 dropouts reported. And the latest data, 2015, 17 student dropouts. In 13 years, we've experienced an 83% decrease in the number of student dropouts in northern New Hampshire. The town of Littleton alone has decreased its number by 80%. Now let me note that this is in part due to a couple of things. One, New Hampshire Governor Lynch changed the compulsory age in 2009 to the dropout age being to 18. And second, due to school district programming and their collaborative support. In addition to seeing our dropout rates decrease, I'd like to conclude my summary by sharing with you a couple of statistics on our student college placements. Oftentimes, people get confused on the population of students we serve, and they're surprised to hear that many of our graduates attend and complete college. First year, class of 2005, 43% enrolled in college, and 100% of them completed and got their college degree. Better yet, 60% of them were high school dropouts. And most recently, class of 2015, 32% currently enrolled in college. And I was just telling Carrie this afternoon on my way down, we received an email from a student who was a 2014 graduate addressed to a teacher and had a nice paragraph thanking him for changing her life. She did move to California, and hopefully she'll move back, but she also contacted the office today asking for her transcript so she can start community college. We hear that very, very frequently, and I'm proud of our graduates. And it's a privilege for me to be here sharing with you this information. I would like to say thank you again. Go to www.northcountrycharteracademy.com. This year we added a student link, and the students are putting on their works, samples of work. So thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Littleton's town manager, Andrew Dorsett, and I'd like to thank the Chamber for having me here. And this past year has been a really wonderful experience getting to know everybody and work alongside the many community stakeholders who are really pushing for an exciting future at Littleton. And I talked to a lot of communities, and one thing they all seem to agree on is that something's happening here, and it's just an interesting place. I got a call from the New Hampshire Planners Association recently, and they just wanted to know what is going on in Littleton and what's your formula for making that happen. But I think the real difference with Littleton, I've noticed, is that a lot of communities talk about having a renewal of their economy or starting a process, but Littleton's been having this conversation for decades, and not just having a conversation, but actually implementing change way ahead of time. For example, the LIDC with the foresight of doing the industrial park and now looking at expansion. So really, over the years, with all the planning and everything that's taking place, and the implementing of projects, it's taken a lot of collaboration. And I've noticed there's a lot of groups here in town who really work well together and are partner with the town and create this vibrant community. And it requires a lot of public and private partnerships. And this past year, there's been a lot of innovative things happening with investing in the environment, business, the workforce. In the town this year, with its collaborations, we've worked with engineering firms to plan and accomplish wastewater collection improvements, feasibility for selection and installation of a septic receiving station. A lot of this stuff is kind of boring infrastructure, but it's the stuff that is kind of a foundation for economy and development. That septic system will increase revenues and lower rates for sewer users, and it'll help businesses and homeowners, ones who might not necessarily even be on the sewer system. We've rebuilt several roads and its underlying drainage and water, sewer, repairing roadway services, School Street, Hill Street, and other roads. We've helped with industrial corporations improve their production and avoid costly environmental issues, and also worked with private sector to help the town's wastewater treatment facility maintain compliance with its discharge permit. We've provided venues for businesses and organizations to conduct business, supplied the community with emergency services through a public-private partnership, funded the construction of Littleton's new multimodal bridge with the partnership of businesses who invested in the community. And we've been actively working with commercial properties to assist them and guide them through permitting, which can be pretty complicated. Recent exciting permit that went through, to me anyways, I've had to apply for expedited wetlands permits, and that can take an expedited process, and that bureaucratic process can take 3 months. That's the speedy permit. But Schillings was able to have one in 24 hours this year. Our fire chief was able to help them with that. So we've had a lot of projects going on this year, taking a lot of collaboration. But this coming year, there's another exciting year ahead. We see the rehabilitation of the dilapidated building on the intersections of Meadow and Industrial Drive, and a national chain coming to that spot. We're seeing plans for redevelopment on at least three sites right now down on the Meadow Street. And then the implementation of the streetscape on Ammonoosuc, Saranac, and Mill Street, which is funded in part by healthy donations or grants from CDBG, EDA, Northern Borders, CDFA, and the DOT will be funding our Safe Routes to School, which is sidewalks on Pleasant Street, Union Street, and hopefully a number of other roads if we're granted our Transportation Alternative Program grant. So a lot of the improvements that we have are walkability, road services, sewer infrastructure, water, electric, drainage. Not a lot of exciting things, but things that you need for a successful business. So at the town office, we're looking forward to another year of strong partnerships, and we hope to emulate the creative and innovative practices of the businesses in our community. So just like to thank you. Have a good night.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Greg Eastman with the Littleton Industrial Development Corporation. Wanted just to give you a little brief recap on LIDC and where we are today and where we're going. LIDC was born in the early 70s as the shoe industry left Littleton for the southern part of the United States. And the shoe industry was our largest employer at the time. And some business people got together and had to come up with a way to replace those jobs. And the way they wanted to do that was to pursue the development of an industrial park. And the industrial park would work in Littleton especially well, given two major factors. One, we were on the interstate. Our location is perfect because we have great transportation system, 93 and 91. And also our electrical rates with our own utility are some of the lowest rates in New Hampshire and New England. Over the last 45 years, really, 15 companies, we now have 15 companies in the industrial park. And they're all fairly stable and growing, and we've had a good couple of years. We estimate the annual payroll of these companies to be about $60 million a year. And like the hospital, we calculate out what that economic benefit is at $60 million over, say, 2 or 3 years or 2 or 3 times that. And it really equates to the industrial park generating $150 to $180 million a year into our regional economy. So it is a very strong part of our economy, along with the Littleton Healthcare. So we're very fortunate that these folks in the early 70s worked on this, and we're certainly getting all the benefit out of it today. The companies in the park this past year collectively exceeded the $1 million mark in real estate taxes paid. So that was a benchmark, quite an accomplishment. Littleton Water and Light receives, for electric, water, sewer, their revenues out of the industrial park exceeds $1 million every year. This past year in the industrial park, that's our new website, by the way. I forgot to mention that, LIDC's website. Please check it out, look it up. For 2016, we had quite a bit of positive change in the industrial park. Tender Corporation built a 117,000 square foot facility and moved from their Burndy Road location to this location. Also, I have to mention that Val Polson used to have his warehouse, used to have a warehouse that's rented to McClure's Honey and Maple, and that was moved down the street. It was actually taken down, a new building was put up. And without Val Polson's assistance in this, Tender Corporation might possibly be operating out of Whitefield or some other town. So without that type of partnership and Val Polson knowing that he really wanted to have these jobs retained and have this company the ability to grow, Tender Corporation is looking this year to reach the $50 million mark in revenues. So they're very excited over at Tender. They're doing a great job. Tender's former location on Burndy Road was acquired by Scott Manning and Appalachian Stitching. And I met with Scott yesterday and got a tour, and he thought the space was going to be too big for him and his expansion of Appalachian Stitching. He's kept his current manufacturing space on Badger Street, and this is an additional property he now has, and he's just about filled it up. So he is very happy with it. His biggest problem is enough quality labor. He's increased his staff by 25%, his employee base, and now he's employing a total of 78 people. Great story. Rotobec is an economy of its own. They are a Canadian company, and they make these big grappling hooks. And it's a big item in the forestry business, and municipalities buy a lot of these grappling hooks and loaders. and in many, many industries. They've never really seen a decline or a slowdown in their business. They, this year, just completed a 23,000 square foot addition to their facility for a cost of about $6.5 million. And Mike Courier, the plant manager, has hired 10 additional people, so they're up to 30 people total. It's their 30th year in Littleton. 10 years ago, they had 3 employees. Now they have 30. Secure Network Services is the 4th company that had some expansion this year in the industrial park, and Kevin Lowe is behind me. He's going to speak in a few minutes, and he can speak to his expansion. This past year, the directors at LIDC also knew that in our inventory we have a 115-acre piece of land up behind the Littleton Coin Company. And we really are out of space otherwise to develop any land in the park. And we applied for and was granted a grant from the Economic Development Administration, who's been very good to LIDC and to Littleton, for a $40,000 grant to study the feasibility of developing this 115-acre piece. In short, the study, which was done by Horizon Engineering and facilitated by NCIC, shows that we could potentially add another 16 lots to this park. And what that means is it would essentially double the size of our industrial park in terms of jobs. And Brian Ward was talking earlier about growth, and not knowing what was going to be happening with our tax bills, LADC has been working on further development of our park. So it comes at a good time where we're in the early stages of looking at growing more jobs and growing more industry and growing our tax base. To develop this area behind this 115-acre piece is going to cost, initially we got estimates in the $4.5 to $5 million range, which is basically infrastructure costs. The industrial park has been built over a long period of time, and partnerships is a big theme because partnerships is in the culture of Littleton. And that started a long time ago. And I think we're all very fortunate that all these different groups that Dave Ernsberger had up on his screen for the River District are the same partners that are involved in just about everything. And it's just a great culture of business in Littleton. And people that come here and businesses that want to consider moving here sense that. And I think everyone deserves a great deal of credit. Thank you.
Hello, my name is George Mitchell, and I want to thank you in advance for allowing me the opportunity to talk about Littleton Community Center. The building at Littleton Community Center was built in 1884 by Charles Eastman. It was built on 1 acre of land with the best material and the finest workmanship. The Queen Anne-style mansion was situated on a lovely hill on Main Street. The Eastmans moved in September of 1884, the same time the construction was completed on the carriage house, which is now known as the Annex. In 1919, 119 townspeople were led by Judge Harry Heald as they signed articles of incorporation for the building and the property, which became known as Littleton Community Center. In March of 1920, 2 warrant articles were brought before the town. One warrant article was to create some support for the Littleton Community Center, and the other was to budget $3,000 for the operation of the community center, as it was considered a town affair and everybody was owner in it. The object was to create community spirit and to encourage and assist any worthy community project. This was clearly more than a fancy building. Well, now we're going to skip ahead 92 years, and if you'd like to know what happened in those 92 years, we do have a history book that is available at the community center. So while we skip ahead 92 years, the board of directors had to face some critical decisions about the maintenance and upkeep of both the house and annex. They were in dire need of work. The annex was closed to make sure that the work got concentrated on the house. In 2012, the board of directors joined with Mitch Greaves of Littleton Millworks. This Littleton company specializes in historic restorations. A very aggressive maintenance plan was put into place. The first thing that needed to be addressed was the roof, as there were some major leaks and it was causing some problems in the ceilings and the walls. As we progressed with the roof, the insulation was checked in the ceiling and the walls that were incorporated with the roof, and it was re-insulated as needed. Funds were raised with the help of citizens of Littleton and a grant by LCHIP for the roofing job, and it was completed. The next step was the electrical wiring and the fire and smoke detection. With the help of the town, and once again some citizens, funds were raised to make it possible to complete the rewiring and the much-needed smoke and fire detection. At the same time, we were able to take care of some of the interior problems with some plaster and some paint. Our next step was to address the exterior. Painting and vinyl siding were done in the 70s and 80s. The vinyl siding was fatigued and the lead paint was chipping and cracking. So the decision was made to make the building look like the Queen Anne-style home that it was in the 1880s. A historic resource organization helped us select some colors that would be typical of the period. The facelift is being completed even as we speak. The building is looking the best that it has in years, and the new paint is protecting the outside from the effects of the weather of our northeast climate. The walls were also checked for insulation, and insulation was added as needed. We do have a future in store, and what we're looking to do is, as we push on into the next century, our mission is to nurture a sense of community in Littleton and the surrounding area. As Harold Heald said, our purpose should be the advancement of health, training for service, social, moral, recreational, and general welfare of Littleton and the surrounding communities. In September, the board of directors at the community center decided to waive fees for any nonprofit group who were wishing to use the facility. We also started to add programs, events, functions, and training to better serve our community. This summer we had 3 concerts on the lawn, which haven't happened in my recent memory. There's not been concerts on the lawn. And we were so delighted to be able to add that to the events going on downtown. In 2017, we will begin to work with other historic organizations in town, like the Littleton Historical Society and Pollyanna of Littleton, to add another dimension to the historical and cultural view of Littleton. We have further plans for renovation. Our vision is to make the annex back to a carriage house style of building and once again use it to serve the needs of visitors and citizens. Future work is also planned on the heating system, landscaping, parking, to bring those up to current standards. Our goal is to have the building and grounds looking as good as they were 100 years ago when it became the Littleton Community Center. We would also like to make the community center the center of activity on Main Street as it was when it started. We need help as we move forward. Funding is critical. I ask that you consider what ways you could possibly contribute. We're also looking for board members who have a desire to serve this wonderful community. Thank you once again.
Hi, my name's Dave Harkless, here representing Mount Eustis Ski Hill. Just have to correct Brian Ward. Littleton does actually have a ski area. Just saying. So, last year I was here giving us an update on Mount Eustis, and we had started construction, and we were just going to put our heads down and go. And, a lot of you said, wow, that was a really bad winter last winter. Well, it was a bad winter, but you know what? It took the pressure off us. It gave us the opportunity and the time and a little bit milder weather. And we built the whole ski area throughout the winter. About the 3rd week of March, we got inspected. We now have our little plate. We have a small punch list to knock off. Cannon came up and mowed the hill yesterday or Monday. It looks beautiful. We have everything lined up, so if one of you could just turn on the snow switch in another week or so, we'd appreciate it. But we are shooting for, we have a couple dates that we'd like to talk about. We are shooting for a fundraiser at the Little Grill on December 6th, which is a Monday night. We're going to have a work day one of the early weekends in December. We're going to have some orientation, which means when you orientate, you need volunteers, and we do need volunteers now. Now is the time. If you want to help out with Mount Eustis Ski Hill, just coming up and helping people have a good time, please contact me down at the bike shop or any of our other board members like Ron LaHoot, Sandy Olney, JJ Lacqua. I'm going to forget a couple because I'm standing here. But we're moving into phase 2. So we got the hill pretty much built. Phase 2 is to actually expand our skiable terrain and complete our top building. So we still need to raise some money. You folks out there that have been so generous, we would appreciate it. And the last thing I'd like to mention is our hopeful opening day is December 26th. Thank you very much.
Me again. No, it's not next year. I'm here for another subject. Do we have one? Okay, cool. There we go. So right now I'm here about Parker Mountain Trails, which is a little something that we've been working on for a couple of years on some land up behind here, Parker Mountain. For the last, 3 years, we've been, trying to figure out what to do with a whole bunch of land that my father bought back in 1975. It's a beautiful piece of property. If you've never been back there, it's got one of the highest points in Littleton. We did some logging there a couple of years ago. The snow machine trails have been there for a long time. And so we decided what we would do is we would build a bunch of trails. And a lot of it's for mountain biking, but the trails are available for any type of outdoor recreation. And to do that, we formed up a nonprofit called Parker Mountain Trails. So once we got going and we got the trails in place, we formed our nonprofit, and we worked with an abutting landowner, Mitchell Roberts, and came up with a network that at this point sits at about 800 acres worth of property back behind, really behind School Street all the way out to Brimstick Road. So after all that work, now we're up to about 23 miles worth of trails that we have back there. Some of them were existing, some of them are new, some of it's what we call a double track, so a little bit wider, and some of it's single track. But like I said earlier, we do it for mountain biking, trail runners, there's a lot of hikers, we get a lot of bird watchers back there, a lot of wildlife, ton of wildlife. I wish I'd used one of the pictures that we have of a bear that somebody took on a game camera that's up there. It literally gets right in your face. We had such insane blackberries this year. But and in the winter, we're going to this year, hopefully, if there's snow, we'll have the alpine skiing over at Mount Eustis, and we'll be able to do some Nordic. We'll be doing some grooming for Nordic skiing at the Parker side, and Dave, of course, with his magic motorcycle, will be grooming it for fat biking too. So if you haven't seen one of the fat bikes, you got a 4 or 5 inch tire on there. It makes a lot of fun for get back in the snow. So these pictures here are taken from the summit of Parker, which is at about a little over 2,100 feet. Up on the bottom left is the actual summit. It's a little hard to see where it's growing up a little bit, but that's Mount Washington in the distance. The other two pictures are from an area just below that called that we call Linda's Lookout. And you can see on the top one where the trail that goes back down towards town is right there. So if you go to the next slide, the next picture, that's my mom, Linda. She loved that spot, so we did name that after her. She passed away in January, so it's nice to have sort of the little family connection there too. Go to the next slide. So we've maintained a number of trails that I mentioned. We've got signs up. They're all rated, just like at a ski area. The ratings are for mountain biking. It's not that hard to walk it, but. We've maintained the trails for a couple of years now and built some new ones, and Blake Roberts is here Blake is sort of our head trail manager, or whatever you want to call him, but he helps build all the trails and maintain everything and works with a lot of other entities in town. And one of the major reasons that we felt like this was a great thing for the town was because we do have an ability to connect it to town. So the trails currently sort of flow out of the top of School Street and would enable somebody to come visit, or even town people from local people in town be able to get up there and ride right from town up into the area. I don't have a map here, but there is a map over on our table over there if you want to see the trail network. And then if you do the next slide. I keep putting that up, hoping Jeff will pay us for that sign one of these days. But yeah, so there's this natural partnership between having this sort of outdoor recreation and the type of people that come and are looking for this type of activity. If any of you have been over to East Burke during the summer the last couple of years to Burke Mountain and the downhill trails they have there, and then Kingdom Trails, it is a lot of activity, and a lot of people will drive a long way to come mountain bike and spend money in the area. Some of them will stay overnight. They like to go in restaurants. There's a great new economic impact study that's coming out that Kingdom Trails helped fund for the trail networks in that area of Vermont that is going to show some pretty serious potential for economic income that could come from maintaining a trail network like this. So we do have natural partnerships with organizations like Schilling, like with Horizons Engineering, with the bike shop. I mean, Dave has been hugely supportive, obviously, of our efforts. And in fact, Schilling this year had a brew that they did where they had gone up to our property, up on our trail network, and picked blackberries. And so the blackberries that came from Parker Mountain ended up in a brew at Schilling Beer this year. And I think next year, maybe when they start to have that new brewery in place, we might see some more of that kind of stuff, because we have a ton of blackberries. So last slide. Because we are a nonprofit, we do have to raise money, and this is our latest effort at that. The bike is right over there. It would be a heck of a great Christmas present to a little ripper who wants to go out on a fat bike on Parker Trails. Dave's got it down at the shop. We do have a Facebook page. We have a website address, but we don't have a website yet, so we're still kind of working on that. But there's plenty of ways to take advantage of the trail network, and if you like to get outside and breathe the fresh air and get some really great views and probably see some wildlife, and that does include occasionally some mountain bikers, get out there and enjoy it. Really take advantage of it. It stretches all the way from Broomstick all the way back to School Street. And it's a beautiful piece of land that I really hope everybody gets a chance to experience in the next couple of whenever. So it's going to stay for a while. So that's Parker Mountain.
Good evening again. All right, next, just wanted, before we go on into a lot of our speakers for business investments, I wanted to do a roundup of people that weren't able to come tonight, but I think we're still worthy of mention, and just investments in general that were worthy of being mentioned. First, they're not necessarily business, but government. When we look at the federal government this past year, the Social Security building just went through $1 million renovation. The post office last summer finished up $1 million renovation. And the Armory, if anyone's been down on Meadow Street to see the Armory behind Burger King, it really is quite impressive now. That was also over $1 million invested into our community. Every year we try to talk about, this is the Littleton Economic Development celebration, and as Brian talked about, with Southern COOS, we're trying to really expand and really look at the entire area. But if we look just a little south of us at Franconia Notch, the Franconia Ski Club and the Mittersill ski area, that's a $4 million investment in our area. And we talk about $1 million here, $1 million here, and it does really add up. What really adds up for me is the fact that we talk about the U.S. ski team making an investment in this. And, I'm not a skier by any means, but I know that the U.S. ski team is the real deal. We're talking about world-class events coming to our region of the country, and I think that's just tremendous. We lost Aubuchon's, which is a great, hometown store this past year. But luckily, now we've got Town Fair Tire, which is a great business, works all over New England in that building, that space. So that's another great addition to our community. Northern Outlet, filled a great hole that we had right here in downtown, the old Mill River Furniture Building. If they just opened this week, so I think everybody, I think it'd be a great time to just go walk and see what they've got. It's a great selection of outdoor gear, and they've done a tremendous job, just investing in our community. I know the owner actually did most of the renovations himself, spent all summer doing them, and it just looks great there compared to what it was a year ago from now. We've talked about the River District quite a bit, but when you look at that tannery building, they installed a boiler to heat that entire building, and it's grown, so much that the River District meeting, we can't even meet there anymore because our meeting space turned into more office space. So it's great to see. I mean, they're maxed out. One thing that's nice on the Meadow, I know, I'm one of those guys that, reads all the selectmen's minutes, and I love reading the papers about what went on at the selectmen's meeting or what's coming in for businesses, this and that. And, I'm glad to say that we're no longer reading about the McDonald's issues, with their parking and everything else. That's been taken care of. So that's great to hear that that's all done. When making this list, you try to walk down, all the streets in my head. And, the downtown, there were too many this year for me to really mention. All I can tell you is, the downtown's full. We look at the last time we were coming out of a recession or in a recession, we had a 10, 20% vacancy, and we don't have that issue anymore. We have a lot of new businesses downtown. Again, it's a great time to go take a walk and visit all of them. Christmas season is right around the corner. A lot of great new businesses to go check out. Details, another business that's been in town for quite a while. They expanded into the Parker's Marketplace. And they've expanded actually so they're that whole bottom floor. Karen's done a great job with that business. Littleton Millworks, they bought the old church across the street and they've now moved their offices in there. That's another one of those amazing businesses that, just kind of tucked away on a side street, but some of the work they do is phenomenal and world class. I think that's all I have for mine next, and we'll just wait for our next speaker, which is Brian.
Chad covered many of the businesses that couldn't be here today, but there's one specific one that means a lot to us because it's basically a 2-for-1, and that's the repairs that are going on at Brooks, commonly known as Brooks Plaza. We should congratulate our town manager because the Brooks Plaza facility, such as it is owned by the Philip Howey Trust, and one of the trustees is Chris Howey, and Andrew has repetitively called him to either take the building down or do something with it. So I guess he got sick of hearing from Andrew, and he's doing something with it, which is wonderful. That complex is a historical location for Littleton. In June of 1961, that was Littleton's first shopping center. It was known then as the First National Shopping Center, and the anchor store there was the First National Grocery Store, which moved off of Main Street down there. It brought with it Aubuchon's, and the New Hampshire Liquor Store moved from across the street over here down there, and it became a key component of our retail sector. One of the things that was interesting about it was I remember I was 9 years old when they opened it, and it was a big deal. And they had two raised 1961 Ford Falcons that were up on elevated podiums, and those were some of the raffle prizes, was you won a Falcon. So, but it was a big deal for Littleton to get its first shopping center. And in the first 50 years, there were 3 different grocery stores, 2 drug stores, 1 hardware store, which was Aubuchon, which expanded, doubled its space. The liquor store put an addition on before they moved to its current location. There's been a gift store, a Chinese restaurant, insurance agency, and a laundromat. However, it has been vacant for the last 10 years and a major eyesore for the community. So we're seeing right now a $1 million plus renovation for 16,000 square feet usage by Harbor Freight Tools. This is a real plus for our community because of all the work that we've done on either side of it. We always had to drive by. So it's a major success for us, and hopefully they'll fill the rest of it. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm Kevin Lowe. I'm from Secure Network Services. It was nearly 5 years ago today in this very event that myself and SNS was introduced to the community. The news that day was that an IT company from Massachusetts was opening their second location in a data center here in Littleton. Attracted to the area because of the impressive industrial park, municipal power, the redundancy that the power of the internet grids here in Littleton provided us complemented our Boston data center quite well. And I loved what our new building, the former FedEx building, provided to us, which was room to grow and a blank palette to build our vision. The vision back then was to turn this big old warehouse into a data center and a high-tech office. Well, for those of you who have been to our office recently or attended our open house, you'll see that that vision has been met. I also chose to be here because of the strong local leadership that greeted and welcomed SNS to this community. They worked so hard to make our presence in Littleton a reality, and I'll always remember the efforts of many folks who said, yes, we'll figure it out, whenever they were presented with a business challenge that I needed addressed. There were so many folks whom I can thank, and we just don't have enough time. But I'd like to say thank you to Greg Eastman, Ed Hennessy from LIDC, John Freeman from NCIC, Bino at DRED, Fred Moody, Tom at Littleton Water and Light. I've learned that it takes a team to make great things happen, and the team that came to us and said, come to Littleton, was a great one. I'm very thankful that they did that. Not only did SNS open a second location here in Littleton, but a few of us relocated and moved our families here as well. We moved here because we were each very impressed with the community and felt it was the best place to work, live, and raise a family. In fact, I'm so happy that I made the decision to relocate here. I really don't like going back down south. I had to say, sorry, Mom, I'm running in the Wobble Gobble on Thanksgiving, but I'll see you next holiday. Well, a lot has changed since that day in 2011. In 2011, SNS was a fairly small company with only 13 employees, and only one of them, me, working and living here in Littleton. Back then, we serviced 55 clients and had revenue of about $3.7 million. Today, SNS employs 39 people, and 13 of those employees work here in our new improved Littleton office. And I forecast to hire another 4 to 6 in Littleton next year. Today, we have 95 clients and finished last year with revenues of $7.9 million. Of our 95 clients, about 30 of those clients are in this area, another 10 downstate. So nearly half of our clients are in the state of New Hampshire. Our clients are towns, nonprofits, small businesses, service businesses, healthcare organizations, and manufacturing companies. While my employees are number one in my book, my customers are a very close second. What our clients all have in common is that they depend on technology to operate their respective business, from phones to computers to servers, internet connections, the cloud, backups, you name it. I hear that next year toasters and coffee machines are going on the Wi-Fi network. The team at SNS works very hard for our clients every day. We care tremendously about our clients, and my team and I have worked very hard to help them make the best technology decisions. So thank you very much for welcoming me and SNS into the community. Look forward to growing here in Littleton. It's essentially our corporate office at this point, and we have some very exciting things happening in the next few years. We will be operating a 24/7 call center here in our our new office, and we'll be getting into offering a cloud solution to our clients. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Ed King, General Manager of the Littleton Food Co-op. I'm here to give you a little update on the expansion project that we're well into already. 7 years ago, the co-op opened up in 2009. We were owned by 1,200 members. Today, we have over 5,800 households that own the Littleton Food Co-op. Our sales have grown from $5 million annually to $10 million annually last year. We have grown from 40 employees to 70 employees, and we serve over 6,000 customers weekly at our co-op. So for the past 2 years, we've been planning for an expansion. Our unprecedented growth has basically required that we expand our business. So in that 2 years of planning, we wanted to focus on, first of all, providing a better shopping experience, move our offices on-site, and focus on energy efficiencies throughout our store. That included solar, efficient refrigeration, and LED lighting. This year, we secured $3.3 million worth of financing for the expansion, thanks to the Mascoma Savings Banks and their New Market Tax Credit Program. We also had funding from the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation, New Hampshire Community Loan Fund, Grafton Regional Development, and our member lenders, of course. Our members invested over $500,000 into the expansion of our store. Our plan right now is on target, on budget, and we plan on being finished with the building in March of 2017 and have a grand opening in May of 2017. Some of the planned results of the expansion would be growing sales from current $10 million to $15 million. We hope to create 30 new jobs in 5 years, increase our local purchases from $1.9 million to over $3 million, which amplifies the economic impact of the Littleton Co-op. The co-op is not just a for-profit business. The co-op is very much a community member, and we give back to the community as much as possible. We have dozens of community partners, and we raise tens of thousands of dollars annually for these partners, and the expansion will allow us to, again, increase and grow those programs. We also have an educational aspect of the co-op. One of the hallmarks of the expansion will be a teaching kitchen with over 30 seats, and we can teach people on how to eat healthy and cook on a budget and things of that nature. So we're really excited about basically all the aspects of the growth of the Littleton Folk Co-op and as we move forward. In closing, I'd like to just invite you all to our grand reopening on May 8th and save the date right now. Thank you very much.
Wow, that is bright. Hi, I'm Claire Brooks from the Little Village Toy and Book Shop. I need to go to that cooking class. It sounds like it's going to be awesome at the co-op. I remember when they did little ones with just little stands everywhere, and you could learn a little something for 2 hours on a Saturday. I want to go for like the full Monty. That would be cool. So I was invited to speak here last year, and I didn't write anything down, and I winged it, and it was, awkward. So I wrote some stuff down this year. We're now 2.5 years into our business. As you guys know, we started very small. It was like 1,000 square feet. I had 1 full-time employee, 2 part-time employees. We just actually took over another portion of the upstairs, so we're now actually probably at like 3,000 or 4,000 square feet. I don't know. We're almost back to the whole upstairs. Although with one extremely fun addition is the formerly known Emzo Tea and Coffee Shop has been sold to Chris and Jesse Tyler. Yes, I'm allowed to tell people. They will be opening, hopefully in a week or so, Blue Jays Coffee and Tea Bar. And so that will be an open-air coffee shop inside the bookstore. So I'm really excited to collaborate with that family. They're great people. Captain Chris Tyler has been a huge support since we opened the bookstore as well. So numbers, which are always fun. So instead of having 1 full-time and 2 part-time employees, we now have 3 full-time and 2 part-time employees. We're really excited about all the opportunities to expand. I know I told everybody in the beginning, if you buy one book, I'll buy one book. If you buy one toy, I'll buy one toy. And like, money where your mouth is, we went from $39,000 in inventory on opening day to $182,000 worth of inventory today. And I did actually check it. Also, our first year sales, which obviously was a short year, was about $380,000. We bumped that up to almost $700,000 the second year. And we're currently running about 17.6% up from that. So I'm hoping next year to hit the $1 million a year mark, which is like way bigger than I ever imagined. I was thinking after 5 years maybe I'd make $10 an hour, but clearly the community really wants a bookstore. So thanks for that. Really grateful. We definitely noticed this year huge foot traffic. I don't know what was going on this summer, but Pollyanna Day was insane for us. It wasn't just the day, it was the tour buses and the support that we got from all the hotels and the people that are sending the tour buses down. I don't know what everybody else experienced from that, but you know, last year we probably sold 20 copies of Pollyanna. This year we sold, 140 copies of Pollyanna, and I don't know where they're getting their information, but man, that Pollyanna draw, and the tourists were great this year. I mean, the foot traffic for fall foliage was huge. The downtown was just, it looked so good. All the efforts that went into that just really paid off for all of our shops as individually, the community getting together and working towards that. Really looking forward to a busy holiday season, I hope, because neither of the 2 expansions I did in the last 8 weeks, one of which was a 14-hour day last Tuesday, so you probably haven't seen it yet, were just kind of dropped in my lap. It was kind of, bleep or get off the pot kind of scenario, like, hey, I'm going to sell this business, there's this space if you want it, if you don't want it, I'm giving it away. And I'm like, oh God, I'm going to take it. But so midnight madness to knock walls down and move things along. We're really stoked this year. We've been able to do a lot more with the community. We've been able to do a lot more little fundraisers, and it seems like our platform's growing, even though we're just a small Front Street or Main Street business. It seems like people get in on our stuff. So one thing I would like to say is we did partner with Littleton Regional Healthcare this year for Toys for Tots. Come buy a toy for a tot. We'll give you 10% off, which is awesome. So up until December 9th, we're hosting that, so you can come in and purchase for some little kid that might not be having such a special holiday season as your children will be. Also Saturday, December 10th at 11:30 a.m., the real Santa and Mrs. Claus will be at the shop for story time. Like the real one, you can pull his beard, it's legit. So you can come by and hang out with Santa or bring your kids, grandkids. And really just kind of want to say thank you, because I see faces right in front of me that were really awesome in the beginning when the Village Bookstore closed. Mike, thank you. And Ray Dion, who helped us with financing early off. We are now officially a debt-free business. So I'm not debt-free, but the business is debt-free. And yeah, we're sustaining, and I think we're looking at longevity. I really don't see us going anywhere. My new thing to say all the time is I'm going nowhere fast, because I'm not. Like, I'm totally committed to this, and I see like the joy on the kids' faces and, the excitement in the community that there's, another Main Street business that's bringing a draw, and hopefully it's going to spread and trickle out to everyone downstairs and throughout. So we look forward to the upcoming changes, again, with the new cafe coming in, and we'd love to see you down there in the next few weeks, spending your money on your kids and your grandkids and everyone else. But adult books, over quadrupled in inventory. There's a lot to see now, and I really feel like we could be almost a one-stop for somebody if they wanted to just get it all done in one day for Christmas. But spread yourself all over Main Street, because we all need to work together. Because if we all succeed, if one of us succeeds, we all succeed. But if one of us fails, we'll all fail. So I just think we should just keep on keeping on working together as a community, as we have been doing. And I'm just really grateful to be a part of that and to be a recipient of a lot of that support. Thank you so much.
Good evening. I'm Meg Brown, photographer, writer, aspiring designer, and the owner of Megabug Photography and Nutmeg Media. This afternoon, however, I'm here to talk about Serendipity Studios, where I work. Serendipity Studios is established in the Tannery Marketplace by myself, designer-illustrator Patty King-Slavchef, and photographer and graphic designer Angie Lowe of Aglow Photography and Creative Focus Designs. Serendipity means finding something without looking for it, and that's exactly how our story goes. Patty and I met over a year ago during Ren's beta series while Angie and I reconnected at the 2014 Littleton Area Chamber Annual Dinner. A few years later, Angie and I were working at the same place when she approached me about opening a studio. It's something I've always wanted to do and have recently been thinking about to bring my business to the next level. We visited a few different spaces, and then I asked Angie if she wanted to take a look at the tannery. There was an open studio, so open it didn't have exterior walls, and I think it just occurred to me that we stole that from the River Commission for their monthly meetings. And I had been dreaming about that space for over a year. It had 4 riverside windows and a bump-out wall that would be perfect for studio backdrops. Upon seeing it, Angie felt the same connection to the space that I did. We spoke with the landlord, and although the rent was fabulous, it would be a bit of a stretch where we currently were. We decided to pursue another avenue and make the Tannery Marketplace an end goal. As we were reviewing a different lease, Patty reached out to us. She loved her current workspace at the loading dock, however, wanted a dedicated space. A few days later, we brought Patty to the tannery, and our end goal was accomplished a bit quicker than we had anticipated. The 3 of us chose to name our creative collective Serendipity Studios, as it fell into place so beautifully and so unexpectedly. We strive to uphold a sense of optimism with plenty of swank and chic elements in the studio to foster our creativity and inspiration. It is our workspace and our dream space, one we feel excited to go to each and every morning. Being a member of the Tannery Marketplace is standing behind the mission to preserve the building's history while writing its future. Our neighbors are so supportive, and we love the diversity of businesses and artisans around us. On a broader scope, we are grateful to be in Littleton. I was walking back to the studio after a meeting late August, and in that moment I felt fully present and appreciative of everything going on in my life, both professionally and personally. In a few months, I would celebrate 3 years with Megabug Photography, and in those 3 years, have been able to move into the studio of my dreams. My now husband and I were closing on our first home that we found here in Littleton, and planning to elope in our backyard soon after. But on that walk, I was especially grateful for the conversations I enjoy with Main Street business owners while running errands and being able to see 2 of my best friends every day. Although we may not work directly together, we work with each other. Whether I ask Patty for design help or she asks me to proofread an email, we're frequently sharing our skills and varying experiences. We're so thankful to be in Littleton that because it brought us together, as none of us are from around here. I grew up in southern New Hampshire and moved to Sugar Hill for a smaller high school experience and never left, while Patty and Angie relocated from Rhode Island to enjoy a slower pace of life amidst the mountains. Ending up here has made us truly appreciative of what this area has to offer recreationally, community-wise, and as entrepreneurs. For more information on a creative collective, stop by and say hello or visit serendipitystudios18.com. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Andy Smith, and I'm going to tell you everything that you've already heard tonight. So I do want to mention when Bino had said that one of the companies that he had brought up has shown some interest, how reflective that is about the message that I've certainly heard tonight, and we've heard for a long, long time, about what a great partnership Littleton brings. And in dealing with some of the companies that do come into the area to scout sites, I remember talking to one of the companies, a Canadian company that's been expanding in the area, and he said to me when we were talking about what Littleton offers, boy, you guys have the complete package. And he had come up from the central part of the state. He had looked at some sites down in the Tilton area and up 93 and finally landed into Littleton. Between LIDC, NCIC, the Littleton Water and Light, the whole industrial park, he was very, very impressed, because none of the other towns could come close to the complete package that Littleton does offer. So it's a good town to do business in. I've enjoyed it. Just to give you a quick update on some of the things you may not have heard. Office vacancies in town are very, very low. The largest office building, Mount Eustace Commons, is effectively full now with the VA clinic opening up. Main Street retail space is thriving, as you know. Multifamily sales, something that's been relatively slow for many years, has had a very, very active year. Very low vacancy rates in town on the residential side. Their investment class has been strong. There's been eight separate buildings trading so far this year. Retail businesses, some of them you've already heard about. North Country Outfitters has been busy dressing up the former Mill River Furniture Building. They're looking forward to their opening. Chickaroo, another retailer, had a grand opening with much success. The Beal House at the other end of Main Street is under new ownership with Adam and Lori Outland, taking the reins in very late 2015. Of course, you just heard about the Littleton Village Toy and Bookstore expansion. We Fix Trucks on Riverside Drive, traded this year, was founded and owned by Arthur Arnold. He sold it to Granite State Trucks. This was a Vermont-based company coming over that wanted to expand because Littleton was where the action is. George M. Stevens invested in real estate this year, buying the David Driscoll building on Dells Road. And Driscoll CPA is staying there, leasing back after they've finished the renovations. On Union Street, you'll see Top Notch Glass renovating a building they're going to be closing on very soon. Chris Lloyd is purchasing the former Parker Marketplace on Union Street, and he'll be scheduled to close on that very soon. You've certainly heard lots about Schilling Brewery. They closed on the land next to their building, so that's going to be a great addition. On the Meadow Street, the desirability from large retailers continues to be strong where the action is. That's evident when Aubuchon's vacated. Town Fair Tire was very quick to scoop up that space. There's the development site next to the Verizon store was sold this year to a regional developer. He's negotiating with several tenants interested in that site. We have two other large parcels on the Meadow under contract, and they're currently going through design and permitting process. Woodsville Guarantee also was quick to move on another vacancy when they took over the former Mascoma Savings Bank, so that they expanded into much larger and more convenient space. And lastly, again, you've heard with the former Brooks Plaza, with Harbor Freight taking over. I spoke to their director of retail operations the other day. They do expect to open in early 2017, and when fully staffed up, will employ between 25 to 40 full and part-time employees. So, congratulations on another great year, and enjoy the rest of the year.
Hi, my name is Janet Parker. It is with great pride and honor we have chosen Kate Cassidy as the Littleton 2016 Business Leader of the Year. Kate is a native of Littleton. She grew up on Elm Street in a family of 5 siblings with 2 very hardworking parents. She has a tremendous work ethic and credits her parents for those traits that have held her through the years. Her history has been one of education and employment, and those that know her find that the two often intertwine to Littleton's benefit. While starting her career as a parts manager for Crosstown Motors, and then transitioning to a regional warranty service specialist for Chrysler Motors, she found her niche after moving to Leddy Group in 1994. In 2004, Kate moved to Allstaff Corporation as the executive director and continued to grow her business and fulfill her clients' requirements. She furthered her education by becoming a certified career counselor, specializing in human resources, HR management, and recruiting. Over her 21 years, she has helped local and regional businesses hire over 20,000 employees, from executive managers, engineers, administration, medical employees, manufacturing, and production specialists. It should be noted that Kate regularly has been the 4th or 5th largest employer in Littleton. Along the way, she regularly has gone out of her way to help underprivileged and those in need, whether it's working with a correction system to help someone get on their feet with a second chance, a high school student who's just starting out, or to help someone find housing on occasion, and even jumping in her truck when someone calls to say that their vehicle is broken down or someone didn't show up for work. Kate is known for going the extra mile to help both the employer and employees continue their success. In addition to helping grow our community through her work Kate has given hundreds of positive and productive volunteer hours to the Littleton community in service. She served on the Citizen Advisory Board for the town of Littleton. She was a Boy Scout leader. Kate took over the helm as president for the North Country Human Resource Association, furthering the HR education of local regional HR managers to help improve the businesses that they represent. She was a board member for Child and Family Services. Kate was the go-to person for the Chamber silent auction. She hustled for weeks prior to the event, getting commitments, picking them up, and even setting them up, and then after the event, developing them and collecting the funds for the Chamber. Well, with large commitment of effort every year, she's looked forward to increasing that amount of offering and revenue from that event. While all of the above informs us of Kate Cassidy's commitment and enthusiasm in our wonderful community, her passion to helping those in need has certainly been as a founding board member for the North Country Charter Academy as chairperson for 7 years. Under her leadership for most of its tenure, with a dedicated board of educators and committed staff, the school has grown from a small school concerned with helping high school dropouts succeed in their educational pursuits to graduating 400 at-risk students in the past 12 years. Over 80% of them went on to higher education. At its 10th anniversary celebration, Governor Hassan and Dr. Virginia Berry, Commissioner of Education, recognized Kate as instrumental to the success of North Country Charter Academy. Kate Cassidy's dedication and efforts to education and employment for our community makes her Littleton's 2016 Business Leader of the Year. Come on up, please. Congratulations. You're welcome.
I just want to say thank you. A lot of people ask me how do I get the success of Allstown, and I always tell them two things. One is the surrounding towns and Littleton. People have been very, very supportive of Allstown staffing and me. And the other one is the employees. They are my backbone. So all the communities, it's just not Littleton, it's the surrounding ones, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and Massachusetts. But again, thank you so much.
All right, everybody, that concludes our evening. Thank you so much for coming and joining us today for the celebration of partnerships and all the